Okay, thank you very much again for it's a privilege for me to be a part of this movement of developing the Ukrainian translation industry. And so I want to talk about the professional competence. I call it the three pillars of professional competence. Of course, there are many more pillars or aspects or components, if you like, to professional development. And I'm curious to hear your feedback. Maybe you would have something to say on what are or maybe these components of our professional development. But I personally insist on the synergy of the three: a master, the manager, and the communicator. I think if all three work together and create synergy, there is power, and it creates a reason for us to succeed and achieve more. So we will talk about these three components. So let's move on. I will start with the first pillar, master, what it means to be a master, or what it doesn't mean to be a master. So let's think about that for a second. Why is it important to think about our professional development? Because somewhere on the road we normally stop, think about where we used to be, where we are, and where we are going. So I hope this time will be useful to answer these questions in terms of professional development, of course. And the first thing I want to admit about master is that uh, perfectionism is not something which describes a master, I think, because when people speak about success and all of this stuff, I personally sometimes feel very awkward and even guilty, guilty for not being perfect. And so just look at this picture. This picture makes me feel guilty for not being able to park my car. Elon Musk, he launches rockets, but I cannot even park my car straight. And so perfectionism, it's like everything is okay, but one little thing, it's just everything perfect except one little thing. And people, perfectionists, can never be happy because there is always something, one little thing that makes you just not happy. So perfectionism is a way to frustration. And I think perfectionism is not what really describes a master. A master is not perfect. Secondly, a master is not the one who never has problems or never makes problems, makes mistakes. Last year, uh, the leading translator called me and said, Oles, I have a problem with my eyes. My doctor told me to stay away from any device for at least 1 month. And so it means that he could not do his job. And unfortunately, that was a big problem because I had to contact my customer and say, sorry, here is a problem. And most likely, we will not keep the deadline. We'll have to move the deadline. So problems happen and problems are normal. So it's not problem. It's how a person deals with problem defines his or her level of professional competence. So I hope this is inspiring. Finally, some people think that being professional, it means that you have to wear a suit or, you have to look professional, look a certain way. I personally don't care how you look as soon as you can create value for the customers. Yeah, so some people look like funeral type of look, maybe, some translators may look like this, which is okay. Next, what makes professional competence, what it consists of. So, of course, education, higher education. Today, it's very popular to criticize higher education as something outdated, old, and things like that. I don't have anything against higher education. I think it's good because it creates a certain environment, and but it gives only foundation. It's not enough. So normally, you have another education, or you get attend some master classes, take some extra courses, some additional education, seminars, webinars, and so on. In terms of education, in my life, mentors mentors played a very important role, and so it always helpful to talk to those who achieved a lot in your field. So I talk to writers and experienced translators to learn from them. Very valuable time. And of course, self-education, lifelong education. Um, and I try to make sure this is enjoyable. This is something I enjoy, not I have to do because somebody told me to do that. It's like inner motivation, lifelong education. Another component of being a master is a focus, specialization, specialty. What is your specialty? One of the problems here in Ukraine that people assume they know the native language. So they go to university to study linguistics or foreign languages, assuming that they know their native language. But if Ukrainian, for example, is your target language, it means that besides the higher education in foreign languages, the level of your target language, your native language, should be not just native, but professional. It should be writer's level, top level. And that's I think a most popular problem and mistake here. So people study English, assuming they know Ukrainian, but when they translate into Ukrainian, sometimes it's obvious to me that they need some extra training. So my focus is Ukrainian language, Ukrainian as a target language. And also there are different schools of translation or different types of translation. So in particular, I translate books, fiction and things like that. And my approach is meaning-based, sense-based translation, not the form-based. So my role is to deliver the meaning, not the structures. And so form is secondary, the meaning is first. And it's always very interesting to see when people try to evaluate my translation, those who never wrote anything, never published anything, but they eager to evaluate my translation, probably representing this literal school or very literal, and with this approach they want to evaluate this type of translation. Okay, let's move on. So being a master means something deeper than everyone performs, than the other performs. And so there is something holy, something sacred in the profession of philologists, translators, linguists, and so on. It's a mystery how our thought, which is formed in our consciousness, in the realm of transcendent, transforms into immanent, from metaphysical to physical. So when I talk, I create physical waves. You can measure these waves with special tools. But there was a magical or mysterious transition, from this metaphysical to physical. It's amazing. It's mysterious. And so we need to understand this neuro aspects as well of our profession. Also, some people hurry to, give names to their companies or their software, and so they take some biblical terms without really understanding what they mean. For example, Babel is very popular word, and so some people assume that this profession translation exists because of this Babel story. But when you look at the Babel story, it's the story of humankind's rebellious attitude against God. So people decided to remove God from their daily agenda and build this tower, and they will become gods. They don't need God anymore. So that was the problem. And so they formed one language, one universal language, one empire, maybe first empire, to practice that. And so God destroyed that and returned back to this multitude languages. But when we look carefully, the previous chapter, chapter 10, tells us that the diversity of languages and cultures and nations and all of that existed long before this Babel story. It's very clear, we can see here, that these nations existed in their clans, languages, nations, and so forth. So there are two aspects how we look at the linguistic diversity: as a curse, as the fruit of Babel problem, or as a blessing, which reflects the beauty of our Creator. So I personally belong to the people who see the languages and the linguistic diversity and cultural diversity in the world as a blessing of God. It reflects His beauty, His greatness. But some people prefer the Bible story. So I insist, before we, use any term, it's good to check it out, what it really means. Finally, quality. Of course, something what defines a master is quality. And there are two more spiritual insights here. In the 16th century, Martin Luther, a German reformist, he decided to close the monasteries because it was, because the idea was to practice this ascesa, we say, some exercises which again glorified God, right, in the monastery. So Luther said, no, it's meaningless. And so the monks, the thousands and thousands of monks in the 16th century in Germany had a choice. They had to go to society, to leave their monasteries and go to society. So politics, army, or professional field. And so politics was tricky. Army, some people maybe liked killing other people, some didn't. So also question mark here. But professional field was perfect for these monks to practice this spirituality, to shape their character, and they used monastery as a professional, as a tool for that. But now they use professional activity as a tool to shape their character. And the same was with Jean Calvin, another reformist, who insisted on the how question. So for Luther, it was important the what question, Make sure that you are engaged in professional activity. And for Jean Calvin, it was important how you do what you do. Show me the methodology, show me the system, show me the order, because both reformists, they believed that professional activity was the tool to shape Christian character and glorify God. And so this is the origin of quality of the whole Western culture, German quality, or and so on. And it's also good to remember that, because 500 years ago, these reformists came up with these standards for quality, and we still use them. So it's very interesting to understand. Yeah. So being a master, and finally, if we are a master level, we are happy with life. It's enjoyable to do great work, to be professional, to do great things, and it's rewarding. Also, glad to receive reward. So we are finished with pillar number 1, master, and now we are turning to the pillar number 2, manager. Manager. How do we manage our work? How was your workplace? Um, I think it's good, when our workplace corresponds to our goals. That it's inspirational. But this lady in the picture, she seems to be happy. Maybe I would prefer some different environment, but it's okay for her. Yeah. What maybe software do you use to put in order your work, to manage your work? What methodology or approaches do you work? I like Kanban methodology, and I use this very simple software, Kanban Flow, or Jira software. I use Jira software for teamwork, for more complex solutions. Pomodoro timer. Okay, let's move to the next step, pillar, communication. Communication. I saw too many people who are excellent masters, but they could not communicate well, and they could not succeed. So do people know about your competence, about your services, and how do you deliver this message to them? So communication is crucial, especially now in the era of communication and information. The ability to explain, to educate your customer is crucial as well. Sometimes we speak the language we understand, and customers have no clue what we are talking about. So the ability to clearly explain the benefits of our services or products is crucial, and that is communication. And finally, this professional networking, building bridges among other professionals meeting other professionals. This is really great. So that what I mean by saying communication as crucial for being professional today. So to find, I insist on the importance of the synergy of the 3 components of professional competence: master, manager, and communicators. There is something powerful if all 3 work together. The first question is, okay, what if I am a good master and even a good manager, for example, but I have problem with communicating? My answer would be, the ideal situation here would be to work in teams work in groups or pairs. If I'm excellent as a master and manager but poor in communication, it's good to find who is excellent communicator and you form a team and you achieve great result. But of course, my point is it's ideal when all three work in, in you as a professional. They have to work somehow. So the things to think about is yeah, what of the three pillars should I have to pay special attention to? Should I take some extra courses to be a better master or to learn some managerial technology or methodology like Kanban, for example, or there is called Management 3.0 now. It's agile management philosophy. Or learn some new communication skills. What is it? What is it that would be very helpful for me to focus in the next year so that I bring my professional competence to higher level? So these are the questions I think would be helpful to ask ourselves, and I'm eager to hear your answers, but moreover, I'm curious to hear your feedback on the criteria for being professional in the field of translation and localization, language services, and so on. So thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you great time and great much success in the year to come.